Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second event in our Family Focus series this spring. We hope you can come to many of our scheduled events throughout the next several weeks to meet members of our faculty and staff who are here to support you and your students. My name is Erin McNabb. I'm an Associate Director in the Office of Alumni and Parent Relations and proud member of the class of 2006. Thank you for attending today's event. This talk is being recorded and will be shared on the Family Focus website next week. Please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box, not into the chat. We will try to get through as many questions as we can after the presentation. We will also try to send helpful links through chat as they come up. So I will let the speakers introduce themselves, but to briefly introduce our event. The Office of Career Services strives to prepare and empower every student to realize their full potential and help them feel prepared to cultivate a lifetime of opportunity and to create a positive impact on society. And the summer research program at HMC engages students in full-time research each summer. Students pursue research projects alongside faculty members across nearly every department in the college. So first, I will hand it over to Natasha to introduce herself and talk about the Office of Career Services.
Okay. Great, thank you so much, Erin. I will pull up my presentation. Okay, so hello, good morning, everyone, and hello to anyone watching this recording at a different time. My name is Natasha Jones. My pronouns are she, her, and I am one of the career advisor and educators in the Office of Career Services. And just a little overview about what I'll be talking about in this short presentation. I'll first talk generally about the Office of Career Services, or OCS, and our various services and resources, and then get into sharing some of our 2021 senior outcomes data, and then closing with talking about supporting your student in their professional development. So I won't read our mission statement since Erin shared it earlier, but just wanted to share that some of the ways that we try to accomplish this mission is through advising appointments and peer drop-in hours, and I'll get into detail about all these topics in a few slides. We also have various online resources, do a lot of educational workshops and events. We host many career fairs, as well as workshops and informations and various other events with employers. So a little information about our advising, which is, and I saw a question in the chat, we do offer advising services to alumni as well as current students, and there is no time limit or expiration to how long alumni can use our advising services or other services. It's for a lifetime. So these are several of the types of appointments that we offer. And students and alumni, when they want to make appointments, they get to select from a drop-down menu of these various types. And let you look at those for a second. And I also wanted to share what some of our most common types of appointments have been since August 18, which is when I joined the team and started advising, but really is just right before the fall semester started. So since that date, we've had around 150 resume appointments, and these numbers of our other types. Students have selected other types of appointments as well. They've just been less than 10, so I didn't share them here. But we do have a pretty wide range of services that students reach out to us for, and we've had almost 300 total appointments since August 18. So we're very happy with those numbers. We definitely feel that students know about us and know how to utilize us and schedule appointments. So that's something we're very happy with. And we have, in addition to our full-time staff that do advising, we also have peer consultants. So these are current students that help us out with advising. They host drop-in hours where students can come and meet with them, get their resume reviewed, ask sort of quicker job search questions. And we find that some students prefer to meet with their peers or might be a little nervous about reaching out to professional staff. So we have our peers to help out with that. And one of our main online resources is Handshake, which is a career services management system. And it has a lot of different features. One of them is that for students and alums to schedule appointments with us. We also have a fairly large resource library with different links to job boards or presentations, recordings, articles, informational guides, really just a large collection of different resources that we think are helpful and that we want students to have access to in regards to career development. On Handshake, we also advertise events. So these might be workshops or career fairs or information sessions, and students can attend all other 7C events that are advertised on Handshake, because Handshake is shared across the Claremont colleges. Handshake, another large feature is that it is a job or opportunity board. So students can find jobs, internships, fellowships, on-campus employment, volunteer opportunities, anything that they might want to apply to. And sometimes they can apply through Handshake, where they just upload a resume and application materials through the system. Other times it just, if they want to apply to an opportunity on Handshake, it just takes them to an outside link where they can apply. So there are different methods that they might submit applications. And another big resource that we offer is our educational workshops. These are just examples and images from past workshops. We have been hosting all of our recent workshops virtually, but these are just some examples of what's happened in the past. All right, another thing that we like to emphasize, love to emphasize in the Office of Career Services is that relationships matter. So we try to host different events and facilitate opportunities for current students to interact with alums and ask them questions, get to learn from them, from their experiences. So before every career fair that we have, we host a resume review event with alumni where, as the name would imply, students can come and get their resumes reviewed by alums and ask them their questions in preparation for career fairs. We also use a platform called Mud Compass, which is similar to LinkedIn, kind of at a smaller scale, and it's accessible by the Mud community and really helps with networking. Students can search for alumni with various filters. For example, people that said that they're willing to help with technical interviews or willing to look at their resume. So they can search for these various filters and find alumni that have said they're willing to help out with different things. And with our career fairs and info sessions, these are the ones that we've hosted so far this past academic year. In the fall, we had a software, data science, and finance fair in September. And then we had a more kind of broad fall STEM fair in October. And then just 2 days ago, we had our winter STEM fair, which was very successful. And then we will also be hosting another fair in the spring, but that is to be announced for the date specifically. And then all throughout the fall and spring, we host information sessions and events to promote different career opportunities. So these might be tech talks, panels, employer-led workshops, just to connect students with employers and outside resources throughout the year. And for the past couple years, we've been partnering with Caltech for most of our career fairs. And these are the numbers of these past 3 fairs from this academic year. We think that our first fair in September, the number is a little lower for the employers just because it was so early in the year and a little earlier than I think most companies do their recruiting. So we have learned a lesson from that. We'll probably do our careers fairs a little bit later in the year or a month or so later just to have more employers there. And we have been hosting all of our recent fairs on Brazen, which this screenshot on the left is just a screenshot of what students see when they're in the virtual career fair platform. So these are just different tiles of all the employers that are there. They can click on the booth and enter the booth, and then either directly be connected with a representative from the company or enter a queue or a wait list to wait to connect with a representative from the company. Okay, so that was a little introduction of a lot of the different resources and services we offer. Now I want to share a little bit about the class of 2021 senior outcomes and share some exciting data with you all. So sorry to backtrack, each year we do a senior outcome survey where we survey the graduating class and ask what their plans are for after graduation. So this is for the class of 2021. And a little over 60% were looking to go into industry and into employment right after graduation. About 26% were looking to go to graduate school. 6.5% were planning on taking a gap year, and so on. And then for the students that were going into industry and wanted to be employed right after graduation, almost 90% had already accepted a position by the time, like before they were going to graduate. Almost 9% were still seeking, and then one was unknown. They didn't answer the question. And then for those students that were wanting to go to grad school, 100% were accepted to at least one school. And to compare this information to the previous few years, it's really pretty similar. We can see that with employment, the percentages have been around the mid-high 60% range, grad school, low mid 20%. So those numbers are very, very similar to what we saw last year as well. Okay, and then I also wanted to share some of the amazing employers that our students went on to work for in the class of 2021. And the top 3 employers were Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, and Heliogen, I guess top 4. But these are several other companies that they went to work for. So I'll give you a second if you want to look at this awesome list. And also to share a little bit more about the graduate schools that students from the class of 2021 are going to or went to. These are some of the schools. So we're very happy. We like to see a broad representation of schools from all across the US. So we find this very exciting too. And just to share a little bit more about graduate school information for the class of 2021, a little over 60% went straight into PhD programs. Others went into MS PhD programs, MA MS programs, and some also went to medical school. And these are the top graduate schools that the class of 2021 went to, and also the top fields of study. Okay, now changing topic again, I want to talk a little bit about supporting your student in their professional development and different insights and recommendations that we have. So thinking about, especially the students that want to go into industry and want to start working after graduation, we want to think about what employers are looking for. So some of the things that employers look for, definitely internships and research, these formal experiences, but also projects in and outside of coursework. I really like to emphasize with the students that I meet with that it's not necessarily as important that, or the context that their experience comes from, as long as they're engaging in experiences that are developing their skills and making sure that they're having those experiences and skills that are relevant to whatever jobs they want to apply to in the future. So it happens very often, especially when I'm meeting with younger students, that they often say that they have no experience, they don't know what to include on their resume, they've never had a job or an internship before. But then we get to talking and I ask them about their coursework and different assignments and projects they've done. And we find that they really have a wealth of technical experience. So those projects, especially coursework, are really important to include, especially for younger students that maybe don't have as formal of experiences yet. But those skills are still very, very valuable, and they're still going to use that knowledge that they gain from their coursework and their projects in whatever opportunity they may want to apply to. Employers also look for campus involvements and leadership. They may look for study abroad experience. Volunteer experience is very, very valuable. Also part-time or campus work. And then also very, very importantly, general skills. So technical skills, of course, related to whatever jobs they're wanting to apply to, but also these softer skills like communication, ability, willingness to learn, leadership, adaptability. These are all very, very important skills to have, and they can really come from a variety of experiences. So it's okay if students don't have an internship every single summer or research experience every single summer. They can mix and match and even, again, engage in sort of informal opportunities where they're still working on their skills. Also wanted to share a little more data about what the classes of 2020 and 2019, what their plans were for the summer after their first year of college. So we can see about 30% or so did summer math. It's around, at least for the class of 2020, 20% were doing having a job. And really with these numbers, I just wanted to communicate that students do and have a variety of experiences over the summer. Not everyone is doing an internship or having a job or doing research. It really is a wide mix. And again, as long as they're working on their skills and development in some way, that's a great use of summertime. And then just more ideas for productively using summertime or break time. We really do encourage students to get some rest over the holiday and summer breaks. It's just, so important for them to regain their energy and to be able to engage again in their coursework and other responsibilities they may have. We also encourage volunteering if that's something they have the time and capacity to do. Just writing, reflecting, processing what they've learned, what their goals are. Also doing informational interviews. So if they have, again, the time and maybe they're interested in a certain industry or a certain company or a certain type of role, trying to connect with professionals in those areas and just asking for like a short 30-minute or less conversation, just so they can connect with them and ask them questions about their experience, about their path, to just help that inform any decisions they might want to make. Also doing job shadowing. So it doesn't have to be like a formal internship or anything, but just, finding a professional and maybe getting a day in the life, sort of just observing what they do, just to learn that and to see what it's like in the real world, sort of. They also, of course, might do jobs or, again, those other formal opportunities like internships or research. They may take up independent projects. They might do micro internships or like projects for companies. They may also level up skills. So this might come from taking summer courses or other types of courses that might be offered from other institutions, just so they're building their knowledge and, again, just working on these skills and leveling up them. All right, now I have some very general tips for connecting with and supporting your student. So we really encourage you to talk openly with your student about their plans, to discuss decisions that they might be considering, but of course, in the end, allowing them to make those decisions, emphasizing the importance of using time wisely, but also remembering that getting rest and re-energizing themselves is also a very wise and good use of time. Encouraging them to get involved in extracurricular activities that develop leadership, and of course, generally being patient and supportive, and of course, suggesting that they visit us so that we can have a more in-depth conversation about what their goals might be, making sure that they're on track, that they're engaging in the type of experiences that they should be. So just suggesting they visit us to have those conversations. And if you ever felt so inclined and were wondering about how you might support the Office of Career Services, if you're working in a STEM industry, we would love if you introduced us to your organization's recruiter, so that we might organize events or make connections with them, with students, sharing your expertise. Generally, if you wanted to host like an information session or a skill building workshop or something, you can always reach out to us and we're happy to organize those. If you want to conduct mock technical or mock case interviews with students, or hosting an intern or an extern or a, quote unquote site visit, which may be remote for now. But any of these things, if you ever felt inclined or wanted to ask or learn about what these might entail, you can reach out to us at our email, which is here, career_services@hmc.edu. And if you wanted to follow any of our social media to see the events that we're posting or any updates that we might share, you're very welcome to do that as well. So I'll leave that up for a second, just in case anyone wants to take a picture, note down that information. And otherwise, that is all that I have today. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to answering some of your questions later on. And with that, I will pass it off to Kathy.
Thank you, Natasha. So thank you so much for being here today to talk about summer opportunities and career services for your student. I'm Kathy Van Huvelen. I'm a professor in the chemistry department, and I'm the Associate Dean of Faculty, which means that I'm coordinating our summer research program. So what I'm going to talk with you about today is, what is summer research? What are some of the activities that your student might do? Who can participate, how to apply, and answer some common questions that come up about this opportunity. So first, what would your student do during summer research? Well, they would spend 10 weeks exploring an important open-ended research question with their peers and their professor. Typically, students are working 40 hours a week, and the dates of the program vary by the department and by the professor. Some professors offer experiences that are 8 weeks instead of 10. So the length of the program might have a little bit of flexibility, but 10 weeks is the standard. And then students are paid for their work here at a rate of $600 a week, so $6,000 for the summer if they do the full 10-week experience. We have a few holidays like Memorial Day and July 4 tend to be campus holidays for students doing this work. During summer research, students typically live in the Claremont area. Many of the students live on campus in the dorms, and some students find housing together off campus in the Claremont area. Typically, in years past, we've had a pool of funding available to provide housing support for students who have demonstrated financial need. And we are investigating whether that is something we'll be able to offer this summer. But last summer, I can say the rates for living in the dorm were about $28 a day. So that is kind of the basic structure then of the summer research program in terms of some of the logistics. And who can participate in summer research? It really is anyone and everyone in the Harvey Mudd community. Faculty from all departments and disciplines typically participate, and students from all majors will have opportunities advertised in their department. All students are also welcome to apply, and students of all years are hired into summer research. And this includes rising sophomores, so students just finishing up their first year. And I will say in my own laboratory, I have hired many rising sophomores who have made wonderful contributions to the project. And we often have students from across the Claremont Consortium as well, who might be part of the program. That is to say, if your student is wondering, is this something I can apply for? I'm just finishing my first year. Yes, they absolutely can apply. I'm just going to share some of the kinds of work that happen during summer research, and you're going to see a wide variety of activities that your student might be able to join. So one of the big things we do all day in summer research is we learn. We learn from our peers, we learn from our professors. Some of this is kind of formal instruction. In my case, in my field of inorganic chemistry, we sometimes often do tutorials where our students might have excerpts of readings to learn the fundamentals of the field. And we're also learning kind of these practical research skills. Like I'm in the lab with my students and we're learning how to do air-free manipulation of chemicals or whatever the relevant technical skills would be. Students are also learning from their peers. We have a wonderful collaborative environment at Harvey Mudd, and a more experienced student might and does help students who are new to the project in terms of both the theory of the foundational knowledge and the practical day-to-day work of engaging in research and scholarship. We also have this learning together in more formal structures through regular lab meetings that happen in each group. Different professors structure these a little differently, but really it's an opportunity to bring the group together, practice presenting your work, talking about your projects, problem solving together. Part of these lab meetings is learning how to read, write, and speak in the language of science. And that's one of the things students learn as well, is how to engage with the scientific literature, how to read and process technical information. And this is something we really scaffold. So we might read a paper as a group together and then talk about it, figure out how to identify what's most important. And it just takes practice to learn how to engage with any kind of technical material. And the professors remember this. I remember how long it took me to read papers when I was first starting out as an undergrad, and it's a skill we build together. Some of our work, the work that happens on campus, is theoretical, maybe theoretical derivations or theoretical mathematics. Here you see one of my amazing colleagues, Dr. Talithia Williams, who is a brilliant mathematician who you might have seen on NOVA. Professors in the math department or CS or chemistry or really any fields might be doing kind of theoretical work or modeling work with our students, where they might be doing pencil and paper derivations, they might be doing work on the computer. We also have a lot of students engaged in experimental work at the bench or in wet labs or with instrumentation. So for example, we have here one of my colleagues, Professor Haushalter, who's a biochemist, working with students in his lab. Students have worked with physics professors using lasers or other advanced instrumentation. They might be in an engineering space, but many students are engaged in a wide variety of experimental work. Students also have the opportunity to do field work. So this is a student, Katie Erickson, who works with Professor Kathy McFadden in the biology department in a lab focused on studying coral and coral reefs. Professor McFadden gave a fantastic talk last summer about what goes into determining whether coral is a new species or not and the work that they've done there. And so a student might get to go out into the field and do this kind of work. Mudders love to design things and they love to build things. So I'll talk about those two together. We've had many students who work to, say, design a new instrument or a new apparatus for carrying out a function or doing an experiment. What I'm showing here are some students who were our head shop proctors a few years back, working to help students in the machine shop. So students might be going into CAD, designing something, and then building it, because building things is the other things that Mudders love to do. And we are in a very happy position of having a brand new makerspace that has opened in the last year. So we have wonderful renewed space to support this creative work of making together. There might also be travel involved in your summer research. It might be local travel, like driving down the road to Caltech to do experiments, or it might be more elaborate travel, as my colleague, Professor Lilia Hawkins, does in her work. So Professor Hawkins is an atmospheric chemist who studies air quality and pollution and climate change. And her work involves using a cloud chamber. As it happens, one of the only cloud chambers in the world is located in Paris, France. And so she has, for the last few years, sent students to Paris to learn how to use this instrumentation, work with a large team of scientists, and in their off hours, they get to enjoy living for a few weeks in Paris. Another of my colleagues, Laurie Bassman, is an engineer, and she also does materials research, often takes students to Australia. So there are some professors who have this kind of international collaboration, and our student collaborators get to participate in that. I mentioned that we help students learn how to read, write, and speak in the language of science. And part of this is learning how to disseminate your work. You've made a discovery, you've learned something, how do you share it with the broader community? One way is by writing papers, and it's very common to have student co-authors on these manuscripts. And it's something where students and faculty are collaborating on the writing. So the students are legitimate authors on these kinds of publications. We also share our work by giving presentations. So this kind of skill building begins in lab meetings, but it is something where many departments have essentially research seminars or their own small conferences where students might give an opening talk about their project and their goals, and then a closing talk where they share what they learned and their results. And we have a campus-wide poster celebration in the fall semester, which is one of the pictures here. And we routinely send our students to national conferences, national and regional conferences, where they get to present their work, where posters are a common medium in some STEM fields for communicating with your colleagues. It's not unusual, and I've seen it happen, for our students to be at a national meeting talking to professors and scientists from industry or other institutions. And then the students are asked, so when are you going to graduate with your PhD? Because that's the level of work and presentation that they're able to reach. We also have student collaborators working with us on curricular design. So at Harvey Mudd, the faculty love teaching. We talk about teaching the way many people talk about the weather. It's just something we love to do and engage in. And so many faculty are doing curricular innovations during the summer, where we might be developing and testing new course materials, and student collaborators are a really important part of that work. So if you have a student who's interested in education, they can watch for those opportunities as well. And it's not, in addition to all of this professional work we do, we also have a lot of fun with social events, seminars, lab tours, baking competitions. The baking competition started, I believe, in the chemistry department years ago and is now spread to become a more college-wide event. Of course, last summer, COVID, we've been careful with that, but in the pre-COVID years, it was something we engaged in and something we hope to bring back when it is safe to do so. But we do want to give students a chance to come together as a community, and we have events to facilitate this, because one of the big benefits of summer research is joining and building community together. This is students within their own lab, as labs assume different group identities and characteristics. They're part of something bigger. Departments certainly have that kind of camaraderie. And we also have this community that builds across the college as students are living and working in this campus together over the summer research period. And one of the relationships that develops in this community is building a professional relationship with your mentor. So I mentioned that I work closely with my students at the bench. In the chemistry department, my office is adjacent to my lab. There's an adjoining door. And so I'm in there with students all day, every day. And I get to know them very well as the amazing people they are. Mudders are just so smart and enthusiastic and hardworking and curious. They're great partners in this work. And we also get to learn and grow together. And there's this opportunity to build some of the professional skills that will really help them in whatever their next step would be. Summer research can be a great way if your student is considering a field or a major. So of my students who have been in my lab, some have gone on in chemistry to graduate schools like MIT and Stanford and Berkeley. And others have gone on to be engineers, or one is in the LA coroner's office. A couple have decided this isn't for me. And all of these are perfectly valid outcomes from the summer research program, is learning what it is you really want to do. So some of the skills that students gain, they really grow in their disciplinary knowledge and their technical skills, whether that's programming or manipulating test tubes or using instrumentation. They develop problem-solving skills. They develop communication and leadership skills. This gets back to what Natasha was talking about and how students can build skills in a whole range of areas. They get to network with their peers, with faculty, and depending on the nature of the work, there might be collaborations with other institutions, industrial or academic. This is great experience to point to in your next step, whether that's a job or grad school or something else. And there's a really big change in mindset that happens. Sometimes in K through 12, if you are good at science, it means you know the right answer. But to be a good scientist, a good practitioner of STEM, to be an engineer or an innovator, an entrepreneur or an inventor, it means you're really pushing those boundaries of knowledge. It means you're in a field where there is no right answer yet. And it's a very different process where you have to plant a lot of seeds before something finally grows. And so helping students and helping your student navigate that change in mindset from I always know what to do and it always works to, okay, we have to try lots of different things. And after some length of time, we found a solution. It's a different mindset and it's a really valuable transition to go through together. So how does your student apply? Okay, we've done a lot of work in the last couple of years to make this an easier process for students. And this URL on the screen is an important one if your student wants to do summer research. This is a single portal, the undergraduate research opportunities, where most summer research will be advertised from all departments. So on Monday, this will open to students. They'll be able to read the different projects that are available. They need to apply within 3 weeks by Sunday, February 20th. And then faculty have a couple weeks to read through the applicant list and make offers. So most opportunities will be here, but you can encourage your student to also read their email because there might be some faculty or some departments that are using other means to advertise opportunities. And email still is a major way that opportunities are sent to students. So if your student is wondering, should I reach out to a professor to ask about this? I would say yes. Personally, I'm more likely to hire a student who has come and talked to me about the work because it's a way of demonstrating enthusiasm and interest in this particular project. If I'm reading applications and I have the sense that a student has applied to everything with kind of a generic application because they want to get something, I'm not sure if they're really interested in my project. Whereas if I get a message from a student or have a conversation, that can be a good way to kind of get to know each other and see if this is a good fit for everyone concerned. So if your student is not sure what to write, here's a sample email. Dear Professor Van Hevelen, my name is this, and I'm a sophomore. I read about your project, studying this really cool thing, and I'm interested in your work. Could we schedule a short meeting to talk about the possibility of joining your lab? They can list times they're available, or they could even ask, or do you have a current research student who I could talk to? Because other students can be really wonderful in saying how the lab actually works day to day, what you learn, and what the experience is like. So sometimes people ask, how competitive is it to get one of these positions? How many positions are available? So roughly half of our faculty do summer research with students, and roughly 200 students each summer are hired to do this work. So a little under a quarter of our student body. I will note the summer of 2020, that was the remote summer where the campus was completely closed. But still, 44 faculty were able to hire 170 students to do remote work. I know for me, I had like 6 students that summer. A few of them I was able to hire because their other opportunities were shut down. So I had the benefit of having them join my lab. And I highlight this to say that we really do work to preserve this experience, even in the pandemic. And in 2021, about half of the positions were remote and about half were on campus. So people also ask, can I do summer research and? Can I do summer research and a summer class, or a big trip, or a second job, or a significant volunteer commitment? And I would say it depends. Please do talk to your professor and to your other opportunity before making a decision. So I'll give you an example. So in the chemistry department, we restrict experimental work to business hours, like 8 to 6, Monday through Friday. And there are safety reasons for that that are consistent with what happens in industry. We want students to be awake and alert. We want them to have people around who can help in case there's an accident, right? So if a student were to sign up for a summer class that met from 2 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're missing a big chunk of the available research hours. And that would be something you'd want to talk about with your faculty member, to think about the timing and to think about what's involved. Now, mudders take on a lot. They like to do a lot of things. They have a lot of great opportunities. And there might be very real realities they're thinking about, like being competitive for a program or earning a certain amount of money during the summer. I'll also lift out the importance of what Natasha mentioned, which is resting during the summer. Students who only do research, which is a full-time job, find that the opportunity to have free evenings and free weekends allows them to rest, allows them to build deeper social connections, might allow them to explore a hobby like reading or a sport or an activity or learning to cook, and to come back to the academic year recharged. They also bring a level of focus and energy to their research that might allow them to excel in a way that would be difficult if they're also doing multiple courses. In the past, we had a summer math program. Our core has changed, so it's a little unclear how summer math will work at this point. But sometimes students have done an intensive class for a few weeks and then done a truncated research experience. But I would say, please do encourage your student to talk to their advisor before signing up for summer classes, if they want to try to do both. So the big take homes, summer research is a great way to grow. Because research is such a formative experience, every MUD student gets a chance to do this through our curriculum. In their senior year, every single student does a capstone senior thesis project or a clinic project, which gives them this kind of opportunity. So if for whatever reason summer research isn't happening for your student right away, know that this is something everybody will get to have. And then the URL to apply for research. And so with that, I will stop sharing and we can move to questions.
Thank you so much, Kathy and Natasha. We have a lot of questions, not shocking. I'm going to start with some quick fire ones. Kathy, for you, while we're on the topic of summer research, are all the students paid the same for summer research, or does it depend on their year?
This is a change. We have given students a very large raise for summer research this year, and so everyone will get the same amount.
Great. And then someone asked if they can earn credit for summer research instead of pay. Is that an option?
Pay is the only option. We have accrediting agencies that are very strict about what constitutes a credit. And so, so pay is the option for research during the summer, but in the academic year, students could do credit or pay depending on the professor.
And then one more kind of quick one about international students applying for summer research. Are there any restrictions? Or
that's a good question. Not ones that I have run into so far. Yeah.
I think when I've talked to our international head, Evelyn, she's mentioned that potentially some research from faculty, like the money grant, is affected.
Oh,
But
yeah, I
sometimes,
see.
usually written in the rules, sometimes it doesn't actually matter because they don't have to. So it really depends
Yeah.
on the research, I believe.
And it can depend on the funding source because we have internal funds to support student work where there are not restrictions I know of about the student's country of origin.
Right. Great. All right. Now over to Natasha. A lot of people are asking about starting salaries, signing bonuses, and how they get the outcome reports. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So would it be best to drop a link in the chat so everyone sees it? Okay.
Go for it.
So I am putting in the chat a link to a page on our website where it shares all of the senior outcomes reports since the class of 2016. And in those reports, it does include salary information. So you can see some starting salary numbers, signing bonus numbers. So that is all there.
And when do you think a 2022 report will be either added or completed?
Yes, so we will be starting to collect the data in March, April. And I actually, to be fully honest, don't really know when it's going to come out and be accessible, but I would assume around the summertime. And it definitely will be added to this page too. So if you'd like to find it there.
Right. And I think you also usually highlight it just on your main career services page on the right side when it's published as well. So.
Yes, that one is whatever the most current year is. And then, yeah, this different page is just more of an archive.
Great. Another question, Natasha. For freshmen applying for summer positions, is it okay to include highlights from high school on their resume?
Yes, definitely. Well, with a caveat that it is related to what they want to apply to. So yes, definitely if students have had past research experiences and looking to apply to more research experiences or have done past internships or even course projects or participated in hackathons or had really involved student leadership positions, all of that, as long as, again, if the skills and the way that they're describing their experiences makes it related to what they want to apply to, then totally great to have on. I would say, especially as a first year student, they probably mostly just have high school stuff to pull from. But then as they go through their years in MUD and gain more experiences, then those high school ones will fall off as they get older.
Great. This one's for you, Kathy. For students applying for summer research, is it like a rolling process or is there a strict deadline for review of all applications?
With this new centralized portal, it will happen within a couple weeks, so that there's 3 weeks for students to apply, and then after that, faculty will make offers. I would say that the rolling part happens if I make an offer to a student who then takes another position, leaving me with an open slot, and then I might go back to the wait list.
But it's all pretty condensed. So.
It's all pretty contained.
Cool. I think this one kind of applies to actually both of you, but what are some experience that grad schools are looking for from a student?
Yeah, I would say just a very quick answer, like definitely research, but also, again, all of these other experiences, it can be a very wide variety of contexts as long as they're doing what they can to develop those skills that they would be using in a grad program.
Yeah, Natasha's exactly right. I think a benefit of doing research before graduate school is it gives your student a sense of, is research something I like to do? It shows the graduate program that the student has some knowledge of what research is actually like, and it gives your student a chance to build a relationship with a research mentor who can write them a really strong letter of recommendation.
Perfect. Someone's asking, I think we got this pre-submitted, is the MUD cafeteria open for summer research? They want to know the cost, but I'm not sure that's been decided yet. I think
as I've talked to my summer research students, I would say that pretty much everybody opts to cook their own food in the dorms. Yeah. There's a real tradition in with Mudders to kind of come together with friends, take turns cooking meals, and that's been the culture. With the campus reopening in COVID, I think there's a little uncertainty on what the cafeteria situation will be in the summer.
Right. I think, yeah, typically in the past for summer research, the dining hall has
Mhm.
not remained open.
Mhm.
But sometimes when we were hosting on campus summer session courses, it was for, I think, a limited number of meals. But you're right, Ken, most people are grocery shopping on their own, living in their dorms and cooking on their own most of the summer.
Mhm.
So someone asks if their students should look for summer research in their potential major or if it actually doesn't matter necessarily.
I would say that if your student is deciding between majors, summer research could be a good way to get a feel for which program they like, and also to get to know the department. So that could be useful to look for a program in your potential major. I would say that in chemistry, when we hire, if we have a senior who wants to do summer research, who has never done summer research before, we work hard to hire them. So once your student has a major, that can be a pathway into research experiences also. But finally, research is also a great way to explore. So it's okay if it's not related to a potential major, if it's something you really care about. You really care about climate change, and so you want to do this kind of project.
Right. And I think on like on the job search side of it, it shows you had a job. So whether it's in your major or not, it can be just really helpful to fill out your resume. Someone asks if what the median internship salary is for a freshman, and is there negotiation wiggles in there? Natasha?
Yes. So I actually have another resource to share, but would it be possible to share my screen again?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So gonna be sharing a resource here. I'm sorry, I'm gonna move all my windows around. Okay. So on our website, which, sorry to backtrack, show how I got
No.
here, just on the hmc.edu website, and then under student life, and then career services, this is where you'll find a lot of our information. But specifically for looking at summer wages, you can go under students, and then majors to careers. And then here we've collected these different career resources based on the different majors. And I was just looking at computer science. So just an example, this shows different job titles, different employers, different graduate schools, different salary data for people, for past METRs with these majors. And then there specifically is a section for each major around average summer wages. So for whatever you were looking for, you would just have to find that specific one based on major.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, sorry, to the point about negotiating, definitely using that number as a negotiation tool, using other salary research tools to find other averages, and that's always a good tool to use in negotiation, especially if they're wanting to ask for more compensation. And we can definitely help them out and have a conversation about how they would go about that.
Great. And this one's for you, Kathy. Are interviews part of the process for summer research job application?
Faculty have some autonomy in how they do their hiring. And so I would say some faculty might have an interview process. More faculty, I would say, would just want to have a conversation with their students. So it might not be a formal interview, like applying for a job, but having those conversations, I think, can be useful, but also useful for your student to get a feel for what the work is like. So the short answer is no, that's not part of the formal process.
Got it. Someone is asking about summer math and if it's being offered this year. It's potentially not going to be called summer math this year. And you would find out about it through our advertisements for summer session, which is our summer classes opportunities. We're still in the process of signing up faculty for them and deciding virtual or in person. So it's still in the works, but with the changes in the core, that's kind of affecting how the summer math would be offered. And so it's just going to look a little different. You'll hear about it when everybody hears about the summer session offerings. Someone's asking if a kitchen is offered for summer students working on campus.
Yes, the dorms have kitchens that students use. They use them during the academic year too.
Right. And if you're not living in a room with a kitchen, you are moved to a dorm with a kitchen over the summer. So you have a different summer placement, I believe. Someone's asking, do students need to have papers published to be considered selective for graduate school programs?
I would say talk to the professor in the field in which you want to go to grad school, because the answer might be different for chemistry versus biology versus computer science. And what is, if it's a paper versus a conference presentation, talk to the professor in the department where your student wants to go. The student should have that conversation with the professor.
Great. Someone asks if students in the computer science major have priority for computer science research. I believe you mentioned something about it, Kathy.
I think many departments will try to make sure their majors get a summer research position at some point, but I don't know if there's a formal preference system. So I would say that's a great question for your student to ask one of their professors.
Nice. And this one's for you, Natasha. How does OCS support alumni who are transitioning maybe from private employment to graduate school?
Yes. Yeah. So for that, the same way we support all the students in advising, just having a very individualized meeting, finding out what their plans are. Specifically for grad school, we look over any personal statements or application materials that they might want looked over and edit them, talk about how they can improve them. Also, just really having conversations around all the skills that they might have gained in employment and how they can describe those in a way that makes them attractive for graduate school.
Perfect. And this one's from a pre-submit. Someone asked how students apply for internships without grades, because right now our first years don't necessarily have grades. So how do they represent that on their resume?
Yes. So it depends if a position specifically asks for GPA as like part of the application information. It's not always that they do, and GPA is not necessary to include on a resume. So they may not have to include it at all. Or if they are asked for it, it's more common, I would say, that it's like a question in an online application where they have to, it's usually like, do you have a GPA over X number? And it's a yes or no. So if they've passed all the pass fail courses, we usually encourage them to say that yes, they have whatever GPA is required.
Got it. Someone is asking, how do students doing research connect with other students who want to maybe live off campus during the summer?
That's a good question. So we do not have a formal matching program for that. I would say that it happens on the student side of campus, talking with their friends probably. And Erin, do you have a sense as an alum how some of those conversations go?
I never did the summer research, but I imagine, well, one, the email lists show up for summer research, right? That becomes an email list pretty quickly. So, and then I think a lot of people do use either their dorm resources or they talk to friends to figure out if they'd want to go in on a housing. I would probably talk to Residential Life if you don't feel like you know anybody to reach out to live together. But yeah, I don't think there's any formal way to do it. But if they're living on campus, they usually have a single, which is pretty nice. So that is also an option. We're at our hour. So I understand if people have to leave. There are 2 last minute questions that I'm going to do really quickly. So can one do a cross department research for something related to maybe like computer science and physics, Kathy?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Right. It depends on the faculty research, right?
Mhm.
Mostly. All right. So, and then what is the process for applying to other 5Cs for summer research? Do they take rising sophomores as well as more advanced students? I'm going to extend this question even further from just the 5Cs but also maybe like your hometown or RU options. Kathy, can you talk about that?
I would say that here, every institution has slightly different processes. So for example, I'm working with a student who wants to do research at Pomona. I believe that she was reading about other faculty member at Pomona, maybe reached out to the faculty member to ask about the opportunities. So I would say that those opportunities are not going to show up on our URO. That is an internal Harvey Mudd source. So a lot of it is on the student to talk with their faculty members about, I'm interested in doing this kind of work. Can you help point me in the right direction to see who might be doing that kind of program? So,
And Natasha, does the Office of Career Services have any like REU resources for students potentially around the country?
Yes, they're on Handshake in our resource library. There you can search RU, and then I can't recall what format it is in, but there's information about that. And I've also put together myself a specific list for summer 2022 research opportunities outside of MUD. So just whenever I hear about opportunities, I will add them to that Google Doc. And whenever students tell me they're looking for research, I point them that way and tell them to check back every so often, because I just update it when I hear about more things.
Great. Well, I'm gonna close it there. Thank you, Natasha and Kathy, for answering those questions and for our audience for submitting them. Our family events continue next Saturday with a special virtual edition of our State of the College with Maria Thave. Following that, there are 4 class socials scheduled for the 5th and the 6th, one for first year, sophomores, juniors, seniors. And all of those will be in your email shortly, all those registration links, but also that information and more is listed on our Family Focus website, which is easily accessed from our parents website, hmc.edu/parents. So I hope to see you at future Family Focus events throughout the spring. And I thank you for joining us today. Have a great one. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.